Hey, Bristol. What was that last post you made?
Oh, so you had a look at that? I knew that a photo of some fancy food like that would really blow up online. I was even able to get 500 likes on it in an hour or so.
Huh? There were that many likes on a rude post like that made by you?
What? How was that post rude to you? I even asked you before making the post if it'd be okay to use that picture. And considering it was a good one, why wouldn't I be posting it?
I'm not actually talking about the photo, but what you wrote about it under the photo. You really went and made me look like an idiot there.
Huh?
And those hashtags you used are even worse. Hashtag still a single woman and hashtag someone please marry me. You also talked about how you try and sell me to someone if that's what it took.
I made that post because I'm worried about you, Katie. You're still in your 30s now and still single, right? I don't want to see my friend's sad appearance any longer. That's why I went and put those hashtags on my post in hopes someone good would come along and find it.
I never asked you to do something like that for me, though.
What is that attitude from you? I did that thinking I was doing the right thing for you. Sure, you won't ever become the wife of a CEO like me, but at least I was trying to get you with a man so that you could finally have a decent marriage.
And I'm saying what you did today was not okay. I already have myself a really good and perfect fiancé that I'm totally happy with. And today I was planning on actually telling you about our plans of getting married soon.
What? Is that true?
The reason I invited you out for a nice dinner today was in order to do that. But the whole time, all you wanted to talk about was yourself. You would always jump into my sentences and make them about yourself, and then would go on and on and on about how happy you are. Because of that, I was never able to get to what I had to say.
If that's what you wanted to do, then you should have said something sooner. I never noticed you had anything to say to me. But if you're really going to get married now, that's great. Now you'll finally be able to graduate from being a sad little lonely loser.
So would you please go and delete that post you made right now for me?
Sure thing. I'll go edit it saying that you're finally getting married. Now, you tell me about the man you plan on marrying. How much is he making a year? What kind of car is he driving right now? And does he have a place of his own, like a house?
Hold on, Bristol. What do you think you're doing asking questions like that about my fiancé when you only just learned I planned on getting married to him?
Aren't those some important questions, though? If you want to have a happy marriage, you will need to rely on the financial wealth that your husband has for you, right? Oh, could the man you're with be a business owner like my husband is?
No, he's just your average office worker. But he's really happy with the type of work he gets to do. And because of that, he was recently looked at by Midori Commercial Affairs.
That really is pretty amazing of him. Midori Commercial Affairs is that company where most people go from university to making $100,000 in their first year of working there without a hitch. If that's where he's going to be going, that must mean he really is a big deal.
Wait, is it really that amazing of a company? I knew that it was a very famous company and all.
You really have a good husband in there, don't you? That must mean that his family's pretty amazing as well then, right? Where is his family living right now? His parents have had a lot of money and properties as well, right?
Actually, he doesn't have a father right now. Sounds like from a young age, his parents had divorced and he was left with his mother.
What? So he only had a mom growing up?
But his mother is a very interesting person. She's a very powerful woman, and to me, she's not only very kind, but the perfect woman. I think her and I will be able to get along really well.
Katie! You need to end your plans of marrying that man right now, I think. The worst man you could marry is one that comes from a moneyless and fatherless family like that.
What?
From what you've told me, he seems to have plans of working at a very good company next and making some decent money there. But if he never had a good enough upbringing, then your future is sure to become rough for you. So I'm recommending you leave that man right now.
Don't talk about his upbringing like that. And would you stop calling his mother moneyless just because her husband left her a long time ago?
Huh? What kind of an attitude is that now? I'm only being kind by worrying about you like this. I know that a mother-in-law like her will do nothing but cause you pain and frustration as you guys get older.
I'm happy to hear that you're worried for me, but you're not helping right now. I happen to really love my fiancé, and I also happen to really respect his mother. So there's no thought in my mind of leaving this marriage we have planned.
Is that right? I'm just trying to warn you is all, yet the fact that you're still going to go down that road to sadness makes you a certified idiot.
So you're really against me getting married to him now? I wanted to invite you out to my wedding since you're a good friend of mine, and I was planning to have you give a speech for me and everything, but I'm not going to ask that of you anymore.
What? Giving one of those speeches would be me standing out in front of everyone to talk about you, right? If that's what you wanted from me, then I'm in. I will definitely be coming to your wedding now. If I can have someone getting a ton of photos of me up on stage giving a speech, that will rocket me to fame on Instagram, won't it?
What?
I never said I was against you getting married to that man. I just felt bad for you as your friend for wanting to get married to a moneyless man like him. But if you're still wanting to marry him, go ahead and do what you want. Now that means you can still leave that speech you planned on having me do up to me. And make sure there's a really good photographer there during your wedding who will take amazing pictures of me, please.
I made sure to send out all the invites for you. That means we should be pretty much complete with all the preparations for the wedding, right? All we have left to do is make that guest list and set up the chairs and whatnot for all of them.
That seems about right. I just have to finish deciding which dress I'd like to wear and what food we should all have for our dinner there.
By the way, how did things go with finding someone to give a speech for you? I feel you should make up a special invitation just for them if they're going to be the one you choose to rely on, right?
I already have that figured out. I already asked a longtime friend of mine to do it for me. But just in case, I was thinking of asking one other person to act as a sort of a backup, just in case.
What? What do you mean by just in case? If your one friend is already saying they'll do it, then there shouldn't be any issues, right?
When I first asked her to give the speech, she was really into it. But I don't think what she's going to have to say about me is going to be any good. And recently online, she's been saying things like, I don't want to do this after all, and this is a pain in my butt.
She's saying things like that online?
That woman happens to have a lot of secret accounts online, and perhaps she thought I'd forgotten about them all and was posting those things. But even if she's saying things like that about it, I can't just go asking her not to do it for me anymore.
So she doesn't expect that her good friend is looking at what she's posting on that other account? Yet you still don't want to tell her not to bother now?
That's right. That's why, just in case, I'm going to ask one other person to prepare a speech for the wedding. I would hate to have to ask someone last minute to get up in front of everyone without anything prepared for me.
I think that's a good idea then. I'd hate to put someone else in a nerve-wracking position like that. If you don't trust your one good friend enough, I think it's the right play having someone else ready to give that speech. I just really hope that she gets a grip since she's a friend of yours from when you were both young and really does give an amazing speech.
I hope so too, and that hopefully means that things will be okay. By the way, have you figured out who you want to give your speech, Andy?
I had a friend say that they'd been wanting to give the speech before I even asked anyone. He's a really good friend of mine from university, and the moment I went and told everyone I'd be getting married, he replied wanting to give the speech for me.
That's so awesome. I'm happy to hear that you're still talking with a lot of your friends from then. And if I'm getting this right, I think I know the guy you're talking about. I haven't had a chance to meet him at all, so I'm really looking forward to seeing him at the wedding.
He's a really amazing guy, so I can't wait for you to see him. Let's all have a really good time at our wedding.
I'm sorry, Katie. I'm not going to be able to go to your wedding today after all. So could you please cancel that speech I was supposed to give?
What?
What's happened that's causing you to have to not show up now?
Did you run into some issues on your way out here this morning?
Not at all. I just don't want to go now, so I'm not going. I can't be seen at the wedding of some moneyless man. So I wanted to make sure to tell you I wouldn't be coming as soon as possible.
What? That's a lie, right? You're just joking about not coming to your best friend's wedding with a reason like that, right?
I would never joke about something like this. I won't be coming today, and I will most certainly not be giving that speech today now.
Why would you wait until now to tell me this? I get that it was a pain in your butt to have to give a speech and all, but what makes you think you can cancel with only hours left before my wedding? Wow, Jesus. Did you have a look at one of my secret accounts or something? But you couldn't have seen everything I was saying online, right? Everything? I was really wanting to give your speech when you first said something about it, but after that I realized it really was a pain for me. And when thinking about how your husband comes from a mom with no money at all, that really helped seal the deal. I mean, look at me. I married a CEO and am now his wife, right? Which means that for the sake of my husband's image, I have to be more careful of who I'm hanging out with. What? Having said that, you understand what this means, right? If I were to go to the wedding of some moneyless lowlifes, I'd be tripping up my husband. Which is why I won't be getting to your wedding now, and that speech will have to be canceled. That's really mean of you, Bristol. How dare you cancel on the day of my wedding, and how dare you talk about your best friend like that? Oh, one other thing. Since I have you right now, I'm thinking about ending this friendship between you and I. I don't need a good friend who's on the path to becoming a lowlife herself. From today, you are no longer my friend anymore. That's right. You and I are no longer friends anymore. Your fault for getting married to a moneyless man like that. Now, you go and take me off the list, please. And forget about that promise I made to you about the speech. As the wife of a CEO, I can't be going to the wedding of the poor. Well, your husband, the CEO, is here. What? But you're not going to be coming now, right? I'll have to go and let him know that his wife will no longer be here today to give her speech with him. He told me that if you weren't going to come, he'd be willing to give a speech for me as well. So I need to go chat with him right now. Bye-bye. Huh? You hold it right there. What do you mean my husband is at your wedding right now? Why the hell would my husband be going to the wedding of a man from a fatherless, poor household? I only learned about this a little bit ago. Your husband and mine both went to the same university together. And not just that, but your husband was a year later than mine, yet they still became really good friends with one another. Are you kidding me? Your husband happens to run a company, right? And it's not just him, but his parents as well who run companies, right? That's right. Both of his parents have been running financing companies and have a ton of money themselves. And I became the wife of such a wealthy family, so why would my husband be willing to make friends with some moneyless man like your husband? Since the both of his parents had companies to manage, your husband never really had time to spend with them, right? I hear that your husband never even had a bite of any of the food that his mother could supposedly cook. Anyway, he went to university with my husband, and that's where they both became really good friends. And sometimes when they'd finish class, he'd go over to my husband's mother's place to stay the night. And at that time, he was able to enjoy all of the cooking that his mother would make. Then that led to them becoming even closer to one another, like they were both brothers or something. They're that close to one another? Even his mother likes to call him her second son, and your husband likes to call her his mother at times. That's the level those three are on. What? I always heard stories from my husband about how he had this really amazing friend from back in university. But then he'd explain to me that he'd became a very busy man, and that's why he was never able to go out and see him very often anymore. Today was the first time I've ever been able to see him, and my husband's first time seeing him for some time. But I never once knew that he was going to be your husband, of all people. Well, now that you mention it, he was saying that today he'd be going out to his friend's wedding, but I never thought that friend would be your husband. I never thought he was good friends with a poor loser who never had a father. He's just as shocked as we are. We never thought that there'd be such a connection between the three of us. But after having all been able to talk about it now, we can see just how crazy of a coincidence this has been. No way. And while we've been talking, you still had not arrived, and we joked for a second about how you might say you weren't coming last minute. We also joked with your husband about how if you didn't show up, he'd be able to give the speech for both my husband and I. I just never thought these jokes would become a reality, and I'd have to go ask your husband for such a thing. I can come out there right now. I'll even give that speech for you, so don't tell my husband anything. Don't take away that seat you have for me. Oh, don't force yourself to be here. Didn't you just tell me that you wouldn't come today so that you wouldn't trip up your husband any? I think as his wife, you being able to do such a selfless thing for you makes you a wonderful wife. So please don't worry about being here today. I promised to tell your husband what a thoughtful reason you had for not being here today.
No! Stop that! I am asking you to please not say anything to him.
The wedding's going to start pretty soon here. See ya, Bristol.
Why would you do this to me? After that wedding, you had my husband come home and he was furious with me. He came at me saying that I'd really gone and done it by embarrassing his best friend like that. If this ends up getting me divorced, I don't know what I'm going to do about you.
My husband was never embarrassed by anything you did. Your husband gave such beautiful speeches for the both of us yesterday, and that left both my husband and myself very pleased.
How could I have known they were great friends since university? I tried to tell him that, yet my husband didn't listen to a thing I told him. I am asking you to please have a word with him about how I'll apologize.
No way. Why would I go and do that for someone who isn't even my friend?
Huh?
Yesterday you asked me that we stop being friends, right? If you were my friend, I think I'd be okay with trying to help calm down your husband and all. But since we're not friends anymore, your life has nothing to do with me.
Then you let me talk with your husband right now. If your husband starts to talk with mine, then he'll have to listen to him, right? So I want to talk with him right now and have him tell my husband now not to leave me. Then my husband will have to listen to his good friend and leave me be.
That guy would never listen to such a stupid thing from me. Sure, I may be a good friend of his, but he's not some idiot.
What?
Hello, and thanks for having been a friend to my wife. I'm her husband, Andy.
I'm sorry for not showing up yesterday, but I didn't do it on purpose. I just had a lot of things mixed up was all.
No need to give me such poor excuses. I heard from my wife that you loved calling me poor due to the fact that my mom and dad got divorced and I never saw him again.
No, wait, that was,
Now I'll go see what your husband has to say about this. And after he tells me how he feels, I'll let him know to get rid of you as soon as possible.
What?
The thing is, to me, your husband is a very special kind of friend. I would really like to see him happy, and if you're the one thing keeping him from being happy, then I need you to go. I don't find you the right fit for being my buddy's wife.
Why are you saying something like that? Until yesterday, he and I were really close to one another, and we were told by everyone that he and I were always meant to be.
You're meant to be with someone you always lied to? Also, he's been aware of your lies for a long time now, Bristol.
What are these lies you're talking about?
He's talking to me about them all the time, one being that you always bragged about being a good cook, and after getting married he wanted you to cook for him all the time. However, recently it seems he realized that you're not the great cook you always say you are after all. You happen to buy all the things you say you cook from a restaurant down the road.
What?
He was going on about you all last night at the after party. He was so fed up with you that he looked like a crazed man saying all the things he'd want to do to you now. He told us all that it was one thing being lied to by his wife about the things she'd done and that he could put up with it all for a while. But after you'd gone and said such terrible things about my wife and I and stood up our wedding, he'd had enough.
What am I going to do? I didn't think he'd find out about the restaurant's food.
I know very well how much my man loves to have good food. He always loved what my mom would cook for him, and that left him wanting a wife who could cook just as well. And when I heard for the first time that he'd married someone who could cook so well for him, I was left feeling thankful for that. Which is why now, after learning about your lies, I ask that you leave him. I don't want a woman like you around my friend anymore.
No way I'm leaving him. I would never give up my life with a man of so much money now of all times. You listen here. You're still the poor one here, so don't do anything to get in the way of me and my money. Don't act like you're better than me just because he's your best friend. You're nothing more than a fatherless, poor sucker.
You're right. I never grew up with a father. But ever since I can remember, my mom's been running her own business. And as for me, while working as an office man, I've run a store of my own, so you don't have any right calling my mom or me poor.
What? Is that true?
I'm making around the same amount your husband is right now, and that's another reason why he and I are so close to one another. We both like to talk about how we run our businesses and what we can both do to improve them. It's actually quite a fun time talking with him about all these things.
You're lying. Making that much money even though you never had a dad?
Now, I'm gonna have a word with him for you, so don't get in the way of this outcome, please. Your status never once went up just because you got married to a CEO, like you believe. All you are is a wife to him. That doesn't make you anyone special. And to most CEOs, that just makes you their pet. So don't think you have the right to judge anyone like you're better than them.
Shut up! I'm not going to be divorced by him.
I wonder about that. What you were saying is that because I'm his best friend, he'll have to listen to what I say, right? So when I go and tell him to divorce you, he should be able to listen to that and do as I've said. I want you to be ready for this divorce from him now, because all you are to him is some basic woman he could find again easily after you're gone. Now don't you ever talk to my wife again, myself again, or to my best friend ever again.
After that, Bristol and her husband really did end up getting a divorce that she'd been so desperately trying to avoid. And thankfully for me, I made sure to block her after Andy gave me back my phone. So I never had to hear anything else directly from her. For a bit there, her husband had been on the fence about really telling her to leave him, but after Andy went and told him about how not only he wanted her gone, but so did his mother, and so did a lot of their other friends, he made that choice to get the divorce. A little while after that had gone down, he started to pay my mother-in-law $1,000 a month to cook him some of her best meals a few times a month. As for Bristol and what happened with her after the divorce, she stopped posting about her life on her main account, and on her secret accounts, she'd say things like, "I can't do this anymore and my life is over, so please could someone love me?" Such sad and depressing posts like that would go on for weeks and months. And soon those all stopped as well, as not a single person actually cared about what happened to her, and she was left with no likes or replies to any of her posts. I'm not sure what's happened to her since she stopped posting anything on any of her accounts, but the last time I went and had one final look, every single one of the accounts had been erased, and that was the last bit of Bristol gone from existence.
Thank you for watching till the end. If you felt good about this video, like the video. If you didn't like it, let me know why in the comments. Subscribe too. Your likes and subs lead to our motivation. We have so many videos on our channel as well, so go ahead and take a look. See you in the next video.
I know things have happened between us, but you and I are good friends, right? I want to continue to be good friends with you, Stella, so can you please just forgive me for what happened? You have no right telling me that after stealing my fiancé from me. I never stole anyone from you. All that was our destinies aligning. Huh? Destinies aligning? Well, that's what happened, right? If we had all not been going out at the same time and at the same place, something like this would have never happened. And if it wasn't for us seeing one another at work every so often, then we would have never fallen in love. Aren't I right? The fact that you ended up going to the same place for work a few times with Alec is a bit odd, and I guess you could say that it was both of your destinies. But you still knew that he was going out with me, so it wasn't you for letting him go out with you while he was still with me, right? Before you say that was all part of your destinies, maybe you should think of your morals. I had no choice, Stella. When him and I got closer to each other than we'd ever been before, it only took 3 seconds before we knew that we had to be together. Well then, if you thought you were both made for each other, then you both should have at least broken up with their respective partners before you started dating. Then there wouldn't have been any problems, right? But instead, you went behind your boyfriend's back and Alec went behind mine, and you've both been cheating, and that's a huge problem. Well, that was just because we didn't have time to tell anyone, so you can't blame this on me. You literally just stole my fiancé from me, and you still don't feel like you've done anything wrong? I don't care how many times you ask for forgiveness later, I'm not looking back at you. I get that you're never going to forgive either of us, but Stella, do you think you can at least give the speech at my wedding when we make the date? Huh? Speech? We've had that promise for the longest time now, right? We made the promise that when one of us gets married, the other person has to give a speech at their wedding. You think right now's the best time to be bringing that up? Well, you know the both of us very well, so I just thought it'd be best if you gave the speech. That'd make both Alec and I very happy. So you'll give the speech at the wedding, right? We're best friends after all. I don't have the heart to continue calling someone my best friend after they've stolen my fiancé. You should go ask someone else to give that speech. I don't think I'll be able to find anyone else. I'm sure that you're just shocked right now after being thrown away by Alec and all. Anyway, I was thrown away? So how about you just take a little time to yourself to calm down a bit, and then we can talk about this again and have the wedding. What are you talking about? I will make sure to wait as long as I can for you to be understanding of us and for you to make it to our wedding to celebrate. I just thought it'd be the right thing to do after how long we've been friends. What are you going on about? No matter how much time you give me to think about all of this and settle down, it'll never be enough to get me to celebrate the two of you getting married. And the reason for that is obvious, right? I think you're better off just preparing yourself for what comes next. You're all right. You don't have to continue to be that upset about this. I understand you completely. I know how you feel after having something like this happen to you. I mean, we're best friends after all, and have been for the longest time. Just stop all of that. When we've decided on the date to have the wedding, I'll let you know. I don't want you to talk to me anymore.
I finished moving out. I was really enjoying this house a lot, and was hoping that her and I would be able to live here. But I guess there was no other way. I was the one that messed up in the end, and so me having to leave this place is the right thing to do.
I'm surprised it didn't take you longer to understand that you and her are to blame for all of this. Are you sure you know what all you've done wrong?
Oh, I think I've been a bit mean for what I did while with you. And it's been decided by fate that I should be with Sophia. So to keep you from getting any more upset with us, I left the house. And I'll be paying you back for all the money you put into having our parents meet up at dinner that one time.
And so that means we really are through then.
Well, there's nothing else I can do now.
I want to know why you ended up cheating on me. We had been with each other forever and had been talking about getting married for years now, yet you started to cheat on me 3 months ago, right? We only just had our parents meet each other last month, so you were even cheating on me then. So you let our parents meet each other knowing very well that I wasn't the girl you loved, so why did you go through all of that instead of just breaking up with me for Sophia?
There were a lot of things going on.
What things? I'm not pissed at you right now for calling off us getting married or anything like that. I'm pissed about you thinking it was okay to be cheating on me during the time we were getting ready to get married, thinking that it would be fine.
The guy that Sophia had been going out with said he didn't want to break up with her.
And you think that's going to be a good excuse for you too?
I told you I had no other choice. She went through a lot to be with me. The man that she was with wanted her to be around him all the time. But he was so selfish and never once thought about how she felt or whether she was happy or not.
But from all my position, you all seem to be very selfish and careless about others' feelings.
Don't get so upset over that.
So that's what happens to make you cheat on me?
I would have been better off with anyone besides you.
Huh? What do you mean?
We had plans for things between us. Like if A was wrong, then we'd go B, and if B was wrong, we'd go C. But you never seemed to follow any of those plans.
We had made plans for getting married and everything, and yet you're getting upset at me for not always abiding by your plans?
Well, luckily I had a plan for this as well. I had multiple that I kept a secret from you and only thought about during work. Those plans were made in case things between you and I didn't work. And luckily, I managed to make one of my secret plans work out for me.
Hold on, Alec. You're not saying there have been other women besides Sophia, right? Right?
There have been.
I cannot believe this right now.
Luckily, it turns out that Sophia was the right one where we both just started off really well when we first met. And then at work, things were really able to heat up. At first I thought that I should have just stayed with you since you were my plan A, and things were going so well. You could cook, you could clean, and you could maintain a good pay. That's the reason why I was planning to marry you. And then I started to think about the beauty in Sophia, and the fact that she had her special features as well.
What? What do you think of other people, Alec?
I'll let you know this as a way of easing your mind. You and I are over, and that's due to your overstaying your visit with me. Us men are much more into women that have the looks, rather than those that have the skills. And so when I compare you to Sophia, she's off the charts with how beautiful she is as a woman.
And so you decided to choose her over me because of her looks?
I chose her for her looks because that's what will make me happy. Like when you and I go out to eat at a restaurant, you're always going with us some plain old pasta dish that makes you look boring. But with Sophia, she will eat everything but the boring dishes, and it makes her look all exciting and fun.
That's a completely different issue, Alec.
No, that's another thing I think about. You're just boring and plain like a lot of other women. And that's why I ended up going out with someone like Sophia behind your back. But at least I know that what I did was wrong, and that's why I'll make sure to pay you back for all the problems I've made for you. So now you should be happy, and we can be done with this conversation.
Done with it?
You and Sophia have been best friends for a long time now, right? So that means you need to be celebrating your friend's happiness. Even after what's happened, I like the two of you to continue being good friends, okay? Well, I've talked long enough. All I really wanted to say to you was that I finished moving out. So I'm finished. Thanks for everything we once had together.
Stella, it's been a little while. I have some things to update you on, okay? Alec and I have made plans for our wedding, and I made sure to send you an invitation in the mail. I got it. Wait, really? Thank goodness, I only knew the address of the place that was supposed to be where Alec and I lived, so since that was the last place I knew you'd been living, I decided to send the invitation there, but I wasn't sure if you were there anymore, and so I was a little worried about if you'd get it or not. Well, I have moved out of that place. Luckily, the mail service realized that that wasn't my house anymore and had the mail redirected to me. Huh, I see. Have you taken a look at the card yet then? Alec and I put a lot of effort into making sure that card came out looking cute. You really didn't have to send me this invitation though. But we promised that you'd be coming to give that speech at the wedding, right? So you really were being serious about having me give that speech then? Well, we had made that promise long ago and had always been talking about it, right? I doubt you'd say no to giving the speech now, right? I mean, you always made it very clear to me ever since elementary school that you'd never break any of our promises, right? But I really don't want to give a speech about someone who has no morals. I made sure to save up a ton of money over this last year, and now we'll be giving an absolutely amazing wedding. We had to end up taking out a little money, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, right? And so there was no point in us holding anything back. I think even you'll be blown away by all the decorations when you come. Just make sure that when your time comes, you don't have your wedding here, though. This invitation has everything written down on it, like the address and such, but who do I call to say that I'll be coming? We already expect you to come. So you didn't even get an answer from me, yet you just assumed that I'll make it? I know that you'll be coming, right? After all, this is Alec and my wedding that we're talking about. Well, it's for that very reason that I don't actually want to come there at all. Are you saying that you still have some feelings about what happened a year ago? I really thought that with the amount of time you've had, you would have gotten all over that by now. It's been a year, Stella. So just let it go, okay? Alright? I made sure to let that all go, and so did Alec. That's not something you should be saying to me. I get it. I'll take you off the guest list. Guest list? But that means you have to at least give the speech. You made that promise to me, so you have to come for at least that part. And you feel okay leaving me to make a speech up for your wedding? Of course I do. Let me think about that a little, and I'll text you later. I believe that you'll be able to give the best speech for us since you're my best friend and are Alec's ex. After this will be your speech. Have you gotten everything ready? Are you feeling a bit nervous? You think now's the good time to be looking at your phone texting me while you're having your wedding going on? Well, it has been a long time now since our little incident, and I know you should be over it by now. And now that I'm so excited to just have you here ready to give the speech, I thought I'd just check up on you to make sure you're doing okay. Well, thanks for worrying about me, but I'm not in any way nervous about the speech. Thank goodness. I hope that you don't back out of this right before you get on stage. You're going to go through with the promise you made for me, right? I made sure to get myself prepared for my best friend's speech, and I've brought a lot of tissues to dry my tears with when it's all over. Of course, you'd better look forward to this. Thank you, Stella. I made sure to call in a special guest as well. A special guest? You said that you were fine with me making up the speech, right? I just asked the staff about them and they said they're coming soon. You'd better listen very closely to this speech, okay? Stella, what are you thinking? And what were you thinking running out of your own wedding before the speech even ended? You're the one that asked for me to do the speech for you, right? I wasn't even able to get all the special guests onto the stage before you run off. What is this whole thing with you and those special guests? I was hoping that this speech was going to be something heartwarming that would make me cry over how happy I am to have you as a friend. Did you not see who all I brought out? They're all the different women that your soon-to-be husband has been cheating on you and I with. Huh? They're all his other women? Well, some of them are also your exes and his exes. What are you talking about? Well, the man you had been with a year ago came out on stage. You had run away from him right before the two of you were supposed to get married to steal Alec from me. But there are others here now, and they're all your current flings and affairs. One of them is the guy you bring with you when you go on trips to Mexico, since Alec doesn't handle spicy foods all too well. There's also the other guy that you bring with you when you go to shopping for clothing and accessories. Wait a second, why? Why do you know about all of them? Well, the person that I began to talk with after you took Alec away from me was your ex-boyfriend, and it seems that he was able to find all sorts of people you've had relationship with. And he told me everything I needed to know about you. About me? Wait, but why? This was to allow the both of us to make sure that we can get a settlement from you guys for everything you did to me and your ex. Huh? I had always been suspicious of you though. I really wanted to know why you and Alec decided to run from me and your ex so fast. And even though we knew you both had been dating behind our backs, it was hard to figure anything out about you two because you were so good at keeping secrets. And I told you the reason we left you guys was to do various things. Alec told me that the reason he took you was because your boyfriend was selfish and wanted you around him 24/7, but that's not the truth at it at all, is it? The real reason was because you had no money of your own after leaving your job, and so you continued to rely on your boyfriend at the time for money. You knew that by breaking up with him, you'd have no money to get a place of your own, right? And so to save money, you stayed with him while going out with Alec. Why do you know all about that? Remember that I've been talking with your ex about all of this, and I'm aware the reason you've had the man you go shopping with behind everyone's back is so that you don't have to use any of your own money because he'll pay for you. He told you that? I've made sure to talk to all your men. We had to see how many men you've been going around with and pleasing to make sure we had enough evidence for when your ex plans on getting his settlement from you. Then what's with those women that were coming on stage with you? Those would be the women that Alec keeps around as his fallback plans. Fallback plans? In other words, women he's been going out with. A year ago, Alec was telling me about how he had other women that he could use in case things didn't work out. You had all your men with you for different reasons, like for going shopping or going on vacations to Mexico. Well, Alec had all his other women with him in case you and him didn't work out. What the hell? He's made sure that if, on the off chance you did end up a failure in his eyes, he'd have 5 other women to choose from so that they could meet his current needs. And because of that, at times, if you're not doing well in bed, or are not going out with him to certain places he wants to go, he'll go out with one of them instead. 5 other women? So you're saying that besides you and I, he has 3 others? Well, the women I have with me right now are the ones he had as fallback plans a year ago, but I'm sure now he has newer women to fall back on. He was planning on marrying me? So why would he have other women with him if he's chosen me? Well, I'll be honest, I'm not sure what he's thinking by marrying you. This is screwed up. And so now that you're all caught up, I made sure that each and every one of these people had a speech ready for you, all for the sake of the newly married couple. Wait! What are they all going to say? They're just going to talk about what any other reason would say during their speech. They'll talk about what kind of relationship you guys will have after getting married, and they'll think about what kind of people the two of you will turn into, and I'm sure at the end, they'll talk about the relationship they had with you guys that led them to this wedding. And once all of that is over, the speech will be done. Wait, if they talk about the relationship they've had with us, all of our guests here will know the truth, and that doesn't mean just me, but Alec as well. Oh, are you guys really going to be embarrassed by everyone finding out about the people you really are and what you've both been doing? All of them are the people we've been with behind each other's back. Of course we'll be embarrassed. But you said it would be okay for me to make this speech for you two, so I made sure that this speech would be like any other wedding speech. I just took a template from online and had each one of them fill it out of the truth. You're kidding! What am I going to do about this? Well, I need to get back to upholding my end of the promise, and then after that, we'll be going. Wait a second, Stella! You've started to ruin all of the wedding. You come and take care of all this right now. Hey, Stella! It's because of you that my wedding was a failure. Because of me? It's because of us both learning about our other partners that Alec and I are now divorced, and right now we're trying to figure out which one of us is going to pay for all that wedding. And what makes this all worse is that our parents aren't even bothering to help us. All of my savings went into paying for my dress and all my stylists. I have nothing left now. Is that so? Well, having a lot of savings is pretty more important for a wedding, huh? Don't start lecturing me on all that stuff now. It's because of you that both my wedding and my marriage are now gone. And the house we've been living in is under Alec's name, so he's asking me to leave. But I don't have any money to move out to anywhere. And when I tried to move back in with my parents, they told me they never wanted to see me again. Well, that is pretty tough, isn't it? I'm sorry to bring this up during your difficult times, but a year ago today, Alec and I were planning to get married. Why would you say that now? I now know that you were with Alec while he was cheating on me at that time, so I was wondering if it would be okay for me to get money from you for ruining my life. Huh? Like a settlement? I just thought I'd get my money from you now since your ex is doing the same thing with the both of you. Don't you dare do that! Why do you think it's alright to ask me to pay you anything right now? I just assumed I have the right to. Well, all of that happened over a year ago now, right? Well, did your ex or I ever say that we were over any of that yet? You seriously haven't yet? You and Alec were the only two that decided that we should have just been over it as easily as you both were. But unlike you and Alec, your ex and I were hurt very badly by what you both did. And so now it's our turn to make sure you both learn your lessons. I was just told by my parents that they don't want to see me and I'd have no money for a home. Yet you still think it's okay to ask me for money? I don't have any money to pay you. If so, you're just going to destroy me. That's okay. In order not to destroy you, I'll make sure you can pay the settlement off over time in smaller payments. But we haven't even decided on who's going to be paying for the whole wedding yet. Well, that's both of your responsibility, so I don't care too much about that. But you're my best friend. Well, up until a year ago. And I apologize for what happened in the past. That was not the kind of problem that it could be solved with an apology, Sophia. You're a freaking adult now, so you should have known that. I think right now you shouldn't be wasting any time with me and should be using it to find yourself a job. Come on, Stella. You're really going to try and get a settlement from me? Stella, I'm your best friend, so you should be able to understand the trouble I'm going through. We're best friends, right? Help me. I was able to get a settlement made from what Alec and Sophia did to me a year ago. Alec was able to pay me in one full payment. And as for Sophia, she's going to be paying me over time. And as for the aftermath of the wedding, Alec had a lot of guests there from work and those that were his friends. But over time now, they've all started to say goodbye to him due to all his cheating and the way he handled all those women. The only other thing I know about him now is that he's moved away somewhere far to try and run away from his mistakes. As for Sophia, she has left any ties she had with her old company behind and is now working part-time work to try and save up whatever she can.
Thank you for watching all the way until the end. If you felt good after watching this video, please like the video. If not, please leave a comment and give us your feedback. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Your comments and likes help this channel grow. We hope you enjoy our other stories as well.